Surbhi, hi, good to have you with us. How have you been?
Hi, Ashu. I'm very good. How are you?
Doing well, Surbhi, and excited to have you with us. We've not
Likewise.
had somebody interviewing who's just possibly, straight out of college and started out, right? So it's exciting to have you with us. My sense is, of course, apart from all of the discussion that we're going to do around, super work that you're doing around Sortizy, the exciting part is that I think this will possibly serve and motivate many others who are straight out of college and contemplating or doing something on their own, and that should be the exciting impact that we should be able to create by the end of this interaction, right? So that's one thing that I'm particularly excited about. But I think more importantly, you're kind of evangelizing and enabling people to live a healthy lifestyle, right? And not necessarily be dependent on infrastructure outside of their houses to kind of serve them.
Right.
And you're doing it beautifully, right? You're covering the entire spectrum for them, which just makes it so much more easier, right, to
Right.
live healthy. Because the constant and the biggest of all problems in living healthy is that availability of ingredients, right, recipes. Everybody has a version of healthy, right?
Right.
You need somebody to bring in that neutrality. So it becomes interesting that somebody's trying to sort of crack it, and we have you with us. So good to have you with us, Surbhi. Before we dive into talking about Sortizy, I think what I would love you to do is give us a quick round of a background. You straight out of college and you kind of started this. I'd love to understand, where are you from? How was schooling? How was college? How did Sortizy happen? Right. I'd love you to cover that bit, and then of course we talk about the markets going, in our discussion as we go forward.
Yeah, sure, Ashu. Thank you very much for the warm welcome, and I'm super excited to share the journey. So, talking about my background, I am based out of Nagpur, and I did
Huh?
my schooling there from Kendriya Vidyalaya. I'm sure many Avians can relate. And after that, I took the branch of my choice, biotechnology in NIT Warangal. I was
Interesting.
like slightly inclined towards that. Okay, let's pursue something bio, and I was inspired by my elder brother Ratan. He
Right.
graduated from IIT Bombay, so I was like very fascinated with what engineers are doing wonders in the world. So
Interesting.
then, yeah, I went to the college, and then I was very open and curious to like explore what I can be good at. I tried several internships in research and even in entrepreneurship. So
Right.
a particular internship, it clicked me that okay, there's something very exciting, and I
Interesting.
want to explore more about this world, that okay, the world of startups.
Right.
So research couldn't fascinate me that much, so I was more inclined towards let's go to consulting, or let's explore corporate.
Right.
And I got placed in a medtech consulting firm, so it was like a very balanced position that I can let me explore medtech. I have interest in bio and
Right.
entrepreneurship, so let's go and learn. So then I came to Hyderabad. It was a new city, new experience. And then I worked with clients like Google Healthcare and some other very great organizations who are
Right.
like working towards changing the world. And there, it was a frequent discussion with my friends in the office that how at home we are not able to manage our diet sustainably, even though we
Right.
wanted to. So we had our own preferences, but we were wondering that okay, if we want to approach music, we have a great platform which is personalizing our experience.
Right.
Same with if you want to consume some TV series or
Right.
even healthcare, everything. But the majority of our meals, even still in India, like I think 80% of our meals we have at home, but there is no tech layer which is supporting us, or we can approach
Right.
that okay, this is what I can eat, or this is what I can purchase,
Right.
plan, or cook. Every time I have to call up my mom and just tell that okay, what can I do about this?
Right.
That's what motivated us, and
Interesting.
these people are my current co-founders. So we then like came
Nice.
together and experimented several business models, and
Nice.
then we decided that we have to full-fledged get into this. And it's a very interesting space, untapped model, and a lot can be done in this.
Interesting. So we're going to talk a lot about that, right? But tell me this, right? I mean, you're hardly 22, 23, right? You're in that age category, and your new job, a lot of say liquidity, right? And money, right? You
Yes.
tend to go out and splurge, right? I mean, that's the natural tendency, and that's essentially what the larger say, economy is banking on the youngsters to do, right?
Yes.
Right? How did this happen, right? How do you? And typically, my sense is that a founder has to be very close to a problem, right? To have experienced himself or herself, and that's possibly the largest and the longest, uh, motivation that they get, right? To continue to build a thing, right?
Very
And
rightly
here
said.
we are talking about completely two different perspectives, right? One is having that money and going out and partying, right? And what you're possibly doing is, like I said, is that seriousness around healthy food hits you when you're like 32, 33, right? You start to become a little more aware of what you're eating, so on and so forth, right? But how
Yes.
did this come in, right? I'd love to understand that. How did the seriousness come in? I understand where you're coming from, right? But was there an experience that motivated you to sort of look at this, or in general you thought that you've been a healthy eater, right? You've been a home bee in many ways, and that possibly served as a motivation to kind of think this through, and then of course understand the larger market. Would love to understand that.
So I think you have rightly pointed out that was the biggest motivator, that we had our own personal experiences, but
Right,
definitely it wasn't an easy decision to leave behind stable probably job and monthly income, and you're venturing into something which you are probably not having idea, and you can't
right,
even comprehend what challenges are going to come in.
right,
But I think a lot of external factors also helped me, motivated me, like the guidance of my family, the support from them, the peer group, the people I surrounded with. They were like super motivating. Even they wanted to get into this and build their own something on their own. And I think that influenced and that motivated a lot. Otherwise, on my own, it wasn't that easy decision. But then I
interesting.
just it was a for personally also, apart from the problem I've been attracted towards, I think it was more of experimenting. That okay, I was anyway curious even in college, that
Right.
I that growth mindset, I think that was another biggest motivator.
Interesting. And you're possibly a love for food and love for cooking, right? I think which is a common constant when you talk of India, right? And
Yes,
I think coming from Nagpur, right?
yes,
I think that was a natural. That's part of your DNA, right? If I'm not wrong.
absolutely.
Interesting. Surbhi, why does Sortizy stand today, right? Would love to understand that, right? I mean, you possibly launched in the middle of the pandemic.
Yes.
Where does it stand today? What are the consumption trends that you're seeing, right? And I'd love to understand who are the customers who are the most engaged on your platform. If you could take us through those statistics, that'll really help us get a perspective.
Sure. So basically, when we were just in the idea phase and when we just started, pandemic hit the world. So I think it brought us additional challenges. But then we were even more determined to adapt to the situation. That okay, building a team during all the chaos and just
Right,
shifting to the new normal. It wasn't easy, but we were successful to have a very solid core team.
right,
And then we have launched our application in the month of May last year. A lot has been done before that, a lot of user research, what we should exactly develop, UI UX development, having tech
right,
people doing beta. But we were successful to launch it in Play Store
right.
last year, and so far we have over 40,000 app installs.
Interesting.
More than 320,000 times recipes has been searched,
Wow.
explored. More than 1,800 hours users have spent cooking with us. They are loving the new format.
Right,
And recently, we have launched a video commerce feature. Basically, we are pioneering video commerce in food in India. So it's
right,
like you're not just consuming the content, but also you can take action over that. You can purchase products, you can discover various brands.
right,
So I think this is also very much being loved by a lot of users. Talking about the demography of the user, the people who are using the application.
right.
So it's unfortunately or fortunately, is based on the data that 70% of them are women. So I think still in India, the homemakers are being dominated by a female. But the narrative which we are like promoting, the dialogue which we are creating is that cooking is a gender neutral life skill.
Right,
So that's what we want to push. And talking about the age group, it is basically 25 to 40 years of age. So I
right,
think these are the people who are like more conscious. I think nowadays we are more than ever more conscious about making sustainable choices.
right.
We want to know what exactly we are putting in our body. And
Interesting.
that
I think,
trend, yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah, and talking just about one trend, apart from being conscious, I think a lot of new factors are coming in, that people are staying more at home. So I
Right,
think they are, more conscious about hygiene
right,
and preparing food at home, and
right.
new diets are coming in like veganism. So yeah,
Interesting. I think I have a take, right? I think women are slightly more responsible when it
yeah,
comes to what we eat, right? And I think, and that's possibly the reason you'll always find more women. Men tend to gravitate more towards carbs, right? For some reason, That's a constant that you kind of come across, right?
Correct.
But so, a fun question, right? What is that recipe that people are searching for, right? I mean, is this Chinese? Is this Indian healthy food? What are people searching for?
Okay, so this answer won't surprise you, but the
Right.
top three keywords which are trending on the app from last 1 year, 1.5 years is basically paneer, chicken, and pasta. I think it's
Interesting. 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 Surbhi, now I think a little bit of the serious side of the conversation, right? Now, typically what happens is there is a lot of content which is already available, right? I mean, if you really look at the search trends, right, especially across say video applications, right, like YouTube and a bunch of others, right? Even Instagram, for that matter, is now kind of picking up beautifully, right?
Right.
Food is actually one of the top out of one of the top three categories, right? There are a lot of people who are building content who are putting it out in any case, right? And if you very easily look up, you get pretty much all of it. You can follow these people, you can engage with these people. Those are very easy hacks, right?
Right.
Uh, how difficult does that make your job, right? In the entire scheme of things? I understand there's no commerce angle to it, but honestly, I think with many other players like say Blinkit and so many others, right? Zepto,
Yeah.
and all the large funding that they have, they have massive discounts that are available, right? So I can very quickly identify what is it that I want to eat.
Hmm.
The choices are humongous, right? Right, the choices are global, in fact, to a great extent, and
Correct.
that's the beauty of it. We have access to that kind of content today, and I can very quickly order, right, and possibly avail that discount as well. That is on a certain product, right? How difficult does this construct make your job? Would love to understand that.
Okay, so I think it has both the pros and cons for our
Sure.
business model which we are developing. So one aspect is that okay, all the already things are happening. So I think that is plus one for us that okay, people are familiar with this space,
Right.
but there are also aspects in this ecosystem where we have identified that okay, the problem exists here. So I'll take some examples in detail. So the first
Sure.
thing is that as you pointed out, the content is available tremendously everywhere. So I
Right.
think that's what is something which makes the discovery of the relevant information time taking. It requires a lot of efforts. Like if you want to personalize something, that okay, I want a pancake without an egg, probably with maple
Right.
syrup. So these are the elements which we are incorporating. That okay, there is one platform, one ecosystem where you are coming in, and if within no time you can search what you can make with broccoli under 250 200 calories, or these are
Right.
the elements you want to avoid. So I
Mhm.
think the level of personalization. So I think that is what I would rightly quote Netflix, what they have done. So it's
Okay.
like content is available, but another layer which is making it more personalized for you. The
Right.
second element is when it comes to purchasing, again, it's happening in silos, it's very segmented.
Right.
And if you see that, okay, if some content creator and brand, they're coming together in Instagram, yeah, the real estate, you have to redirect them to the Instagram bio, or
Right.
in YouTube, you have to mention the affiliate link probably at the bottom of the description box. So I think we are making it more authentic, more informed. When you're watching the content in one click, you can purchase that product, and then and there, when you're in that mindset, you can purchase that and know more about the products. So that is how we are streamlining this. And the third element is cooking. So currently we have this coming from our basically research. I'm not quoting this, although I faced it personally. When you're cooking with YouTube, it's a wonderful platform to go through the recipe, but it
Right.
doesn't go along with the pace with which you want to cook. You have to
Sure.
play pause and mental calculation of ingredients. So it doesn't work a lot with a lot of people. So even at various places, a lot of information about the recipe is missing. So
Mhm.
that's what we are standardizing. That okay, come here, all the information you can find in a proper way, and the recipe cards are multilingual. You can scale up or down the servings with and ingredients. So that's how another way how tech is making things standardized and more personalized.
Very
So
interesting.
it's about a ecosystem and a good platform.
Interesting. Now, fair point, right? And I think we give you all the credit for kind of breaking it down. And I think and I agree with what you're saying, right? While of course there are a lot of these generic platforms that exist, I think you definitely need, and I think you kind of picked a very very important and a relevant point, right? That pace of cooking is just so much more complicated, right?
Right.
The most difficult part when you're trying to cook with a video is keep going back, right?
Right.
Adjusting the pace. That's the most difficult part, right? So if you can do it right, I think they're so much more effective, right? Sylvie, now that brings me to the quality of video questions, right? Now, whenever you're kind of doing content, right? I mean, we're an organization, we understand content creation, right?
Yeah.
It's not easy, right? And that's possibly the most difficult part of I think any business which is in the content space, right?
Correct.
You're possibly in an environment where you're kind of democratizing content, right? Where you're getting a lot of these creators to come in and create content, which is now available on your platform, so on and so forth, right?
Right.
Quality on a lot of occasions suffers, right? Ability for them to communicate is very different, right?
Right.
Regionality kicks in. So say somebody from say Nagpur is going to talk very differently, will possibly have a touch of say a Marathi or a Maharashtrian language, right? Choice and preference of say for example the ingredients are going to be very different, right? Say vis-a-vis somebody who's in Bangalore, somebody who's in Hyderabad, somebody who's in say Delhi, that's going to be very different, right? How do you solve for these complexities, right? Food has a very very strong regional you know uh, flavor, right? How do you solve for that? Would love to understand your views.
Right. So I think it's a very, very valid point. Even we were very particular about the quality of content which is coming in, because building a lifestyle product where we are expecting people to, interact with very frequently on a weekly basis or daily basis. So I think if there's no quality, then I don't think it's a very good factor for people to stick in. So we have developed a very standardized program where we are approaching the good content creators. We have a team who is like very strict about the kind of content which is coming in. We organize tutorials for them. So because it's we like bring in people who have done it, who have created good content. They organize some sessions and we share some lessons that okay, this is how we can improvise. So it's not like we are not giving opportunity for people who can improve, but
Right.
I would say we are having a very strong hold on what content should be there, the entire
Mm-hmm.
process, what has been when they are submitting something, we check
Right.
it. So we are very particular about the content, and even the community, the entire 150 chefs, we are building this community slowly, and they are also very excited about the format. They keep Sortizy in mind, the lessons in mind, and they interact,
Right.
share knowledge with each other. So I think this possible with a proper communication process and
Right.
of course with tech.
Interesting, interesting. And I think in content business, more is more, right? The more you serve people, the more they're going to enjoy it, right? Interesting. Uh, Surbhi, another question, right? Now, with youngsters, right? What one I would love to understand, what's the age group which is predominantly consuming from your platform? Right. I'd love to understand that, right? But when you start looking at the younger audience, right? In fact, now this is something which is kind of now seeping in across age categories, right? Is that people are not necessarily, people are getting experimentative, right?
Hmm.
There's a newer trend which is coming in. Families are becoming smaller,
Right.
possibly, and choosing, say, not to have, for example, kids, right? And now a lot of these people are essentially dependent on, say, home chefs, who are kind of serving them. They are essentially ordering outside. I mean, if you look at the thesis of, say, the largest delivery players in the country, they basically talk of how frequently the number of orders is kind of growing, right? uh, what does that mean for you as a platform? I mean, given what your thesis is that, listen, home cooking is possibly the best cooking, you can have healthy food, safe food, so on and so forth, right? Food in general is getting institutionalized. What 2020 has done is
Hmm.
that it's just made all manufacturers, right, if I can put it that way, restaurants, home chefs, kitchen owners, very institutionalized, right? Because people got very serious about the quality of food that was to be delivered, right? So
Right.
there's this very significant shift which is happened, right?
Hmm.
And like I said, the number of orders that we are doing is kind of continuing to grow up. uh, what happens? How do you see that? How do you view that? Because like I said, right, you are predominantly a business which is enabling people to cook healthy at home, right? uh, the assumption is that they already have the required infrastructure, and
Hmm.
they're motivated to go through that process and pain.
Hmm.
uh, is that a fair assumption, given what we are seeing, the shift that we are seeing, ordering becoming so much more easier, payment ecosystem sort of evolving the way it is? Is that a fair understanding, or you think you will possibly have to tackle it and keep people motivated to continuing to eat at home, because that, like I said, right, is the primary foundation of your offering?
Okay, so basically, I would say the answer is very that there are so many nuances which are coming to the picture.
Sure.
The very first thing is, I think we have to see both sides of the story. I think the
Mhm.
narrative which is coming into the market is the rise of orders and the cloud kitchen and all the entire discussions about it. But at the same time, if you see the other trend, a lot of D2C brands are rising. You can see that, okay, probably 5 years ago, you can't find avocado that easily in your nearby grocery store, but you can see the number of ingredients which are coming in. The
Right.
funding, I'm not taking the base of that, but I
Uh-huh.
think still 80% of our meals are home based. And cooking is not the only element which are focusing in. I think in the entire process, there are other elements also which are different kinds of users are getting attracted to for a value proposition. So be it, what you can eat, you're purchasing the product, planning the meal, groceries. It's not necessarily cooking. A lot of
Correct.
people in Hyderabad, they are sharing the recipes, converting it in Oria. So we have this
Uh-huh.
multilingual feature and they're sharing it with their cooks. So they're like telling that, okay, now I'm able to make Asian salad. And he's like,
Interesting.
so I think that would be the thing that home food is not going anywhere, and we are not even against the rising infrastructure of convenience which are coming in.
Right.
I think it has both the sides, and we are not.
Interesting.
We are excited that I think we are going to tackle it since home food is predominant still in India.
Interesting. And I think the possibility that you have is that, and this is part of my thesis, right? Especially in what we've seen in 2020 and onwards, right?
Yeah,
Is that consumers are consuming a lot of global content now, right? They want to have a variety of things which are not necessarily available by a lot of restaurants, right? In a lot of restaurants, I mean, just about a few markets can possibly offer.
correct,
Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, Bangalore will not have those challenges, right? Supply chain challenges, but a lot of other cities will have those challenges, which means that people will predominantly be dependent on home
correct,
settings to kind of be building that, right? And that's essentially where your role becomes just so much more pertinent, right?
right.
Interesting. So, what I would love to understand is the business model, right? Of course, you've alluded to it in an earlier point, right? But would have to understand that, right? I mean, are you proposing a subscription piece for people, or is this an open play for people to come in and experience, and then you're kind of largely calibrating it in a way where, when they get motivated, they want to cook, they order from you, and that's where you make your revenues from. So, what's the construct of that piece? Would love to understand that.
Right, sure. So basically, since we are offering value to various stakeholders,
Hmm.
so that's how we are bringing in four streams of revenue.
Hmm.
So our partnership with brands, we have started partnering with very amazing brands which are coming in, and even they are very much in line with the idea that, okay, I want to drive more informed commerce. I just
Right.
want to generate the lead that, okay, I am coming up with so and so product, but probably
Interesting.
content marketing, something which is picking up in D2C brands as well.
Right.
Even they want a real estate that, okay, this is how I can make my users aware about the utilization of my products, or this how can utilize it better. So that's the value the brands are getting. So we are partnering with them and offering the subscription that, okay, here you're getting the real estate, promote it, connect with your consumers more meaningfully. So that is one of the ways. The next ways is the microtransactions which are taking place on the platform. So we share our revenue with our content creator partners. So
Right.
let's say if you're watching a video, you are very much interacting with it, and you like certain product which is being endorsed by that content creator. And if you as a user, if you're purchasing that, so we earn the commission and we share it with the content creator. So that is another way. A lot of microtransactions on the platform. The third is as you said that, okay, initially we are offering users that, okay, you come onto the platform, experience it, and it will take us also some time to come up with the right subscription model, which is
Right.
best for the super users. Maybe the detailed calorific data, or we are sending you prep reminders if you have planned your meals. So
Right.
that subscription plan for the users will come into the play. And finally, I think the
Interesting.
most exciting one, which is a little far-sighted, but since we are catering the user from point A, that you are discovering personalized recipe, to finding making a meal plan and creating a grocery list. So integrating that with the grocery players, which are like working tremendously well in India. So probably
Interesting.
partnering with them. So that would be the fourth one.
So I think one thing which is outstanding is the energy with which you're trying to solve this, right? Food is not an easy topic, right? And
Right.
especially when you're trying to do it in India, it's a complicated one, right?
Right.
So love the energy and the enthusiasm with which you're trying to crack it, right? Now, I think enough of talking about the consumers, the business, right? Now, you know, some other parts of the business, right? Now you're a
Right.
fairly young girl, right? Like I said, straight out of college, starting this. COVID has been an interesting time, right? You've raised some capital as well in the process of raising a larger round. Uh, Team becomes an important construct, right? Of course, these are the kind of things that we talked about are the interesting side of it, right? But there is a motivated team which is required to deliver all of this, right? that
Very.
excitement, enthusiasm that you have as a founder, right? It's so much more important to have, people within the teams to be, say, equally energized, right, to deliver that kind of an experience, right? Tell me this, right? How has that experience been, of hiring people, right? You're possibly in college appearing for interviews, got selected, you worked for a bit, and here you are now selecting people, right? The roles have changed, it's reversed, right? Would love to understand how has that been, um, and how has that made you think as a leader? Do you think you've grown a little more mature selecting these people? What's been that experience like?
So the entire process, I would say it's tremendously well. I would say for the growth perspective, both for me personally as well as professionally.
Right.
So when I was in college, like I went for a placement, and then it was my very only one company I've applied, and I got selected. And
Right.
I think in that duration when I was working at my first firm, there were so many things which I've learned. I'm very thankful for that. That okay, I had that particular experience, so it has helped me, with certain aspects of dealing with people, the stakeholders, and how you see the ask elements of hierarchy, not exactly hierarchy, but how the system works.
Right.
So I think when we were building the core team, we were very fortunate. Then when we were in the idea stage, we were discussing. So these are my friends. We already have a good rapport among ourselves. We have worked together in several projects, and we have resonated with the idea, and have been very, very fortunate that we could come up as a core team with the same energy, the same motivation, the same mission and vision.
Right.
So that has been, I would say, not a lot of people face that level of fortune, where they have to go through finding the tech guy, or building a team. So
Right.
the core team was in place for us, so that has made our path a little easier. But after
Interesting.
that, when the pandemic came in, I think there was a lot of chaos. We were not like, it took a lot of time for people to adjust that. Okay, what is happening in tech? How can we approach people in so many other domain? Even people were not sure about. There were a lot of what do you call it? Instability
Sure.
about the space.
Mhm.
But there, I think our college networks, the referrals,
Interesting.
we have like extensively networked online. We have
Right.
made be a part of community, so that's what helped us building the team.
Interesting. That's a good one, Surbhi. Surbhi, tell me this, right? How the parents reacted to this, right? Are they happy, that you're doing something that you possibly are very excited about, energized about, or do they wish that you possibly continued what you were doing in your job for some more time before you took the plunge, right? India, parents work very hard. They have a lot of expectations from the kids. It's usually very difficult to convince them that, listen, I am possibly choosing a path which is a little more harder than what you planned for me.
Right.
How has that been for you?
So, my parents specifically, even though they did not understand much about the space, but since
Right.
the beginning, when I've shared this idea, they have been like super supportive. And even I
Interesting.
did not know how would they react, but like they reacted in a super supportive manner, even though they were not understanding what exactly I work. And many times I've sat with them and I told them, look, this is what I'm working. And they are also very eager and curious to learn. Okay, please tell me. I'm like very
Interesting.
happy. And whenever I share good news with them, and they are like equally, you share the joy with the family. And one element which is, I think my elder brother,
Sure.
he is a major supporter, so he also helps me
Interesting.
to make them understand. And the
Right.
entire family, and even the family of my co-founders, they are like, oh, it has been very uh,
Interesting.
good experience so far.
And did Shark Tank help?
Yes, absolutely.
So, what are the next 2 years like? We're towards the end of our conversation. What are the next 2 years like for Sortizy? You've already built a substantial play, right? And I think in pandemic, and when I say substantial play, of course, it's relative, right? But I think in pandemic, bringing all of this together, getting to the point that you are at, right? Possibly in limited resources, is extremely difficult, right? I think. Doing all of this is commendable. Would love to understand what are the next 2 years like.
Sure. So I think we are at a stage where now we are like fueled by two great investors. And now, since we have got the right resources, team, motivation is in place. So I
Sure.
think at the moment we are focusing on growth. That
Interesting.
how can we build processes to market out this product to a larger user base, and build the tech, complete it. Still, our tech work is going on. It's like forever it goes, but
Right.
in the major elements. And in the next 2 years, we see ourselves as a established ecosystem, a player, where if any content creator related to food, if they're thinking about, publishing some content, they should think about Sortizy, the kind of benefits and the infrastructure we are offering. If a brand, D2C brand or any kitchen related brand, they think of connecting with the consumers, they should come to us.
Interesting.
And for the users, I think we should be able to become a everyday essentials, just the way we have got the award from Google, the everyday essentials app. So I think that's what the kind of value which we want to bring into the ecosystem in India.
Super, super. Surbhi, this is my last question in every conversation, and I ask this, right? It's almost becoming cliche, right? But I think every founder has a very unique journey, right? And I believe that they can motivate many others in the ecosystem in a beautiful way, right? You've been a student who's, like I said, right, just out of college. In many ways, I'd love you to give out some suggestions, advice to many of your, say, colleagues and friends in college, right, and many other colleges, such students, right, who are out there, who are at the fence in some way or the other, right? They're sort of grappling with some of the other challenges. There could be personal challenges, there could be a challenge in the family side of it, in terms of expectations, right? And they don't usually start out right. And then there's a regret by the end of it, right? You're beyond that. You've gotten to a point where you've raised capital, right? If you were to give an advice to, say, many of these people, what would that advice be?
Right. So I would say, first of all, that I would say in a very easy manner that you must have heard this a lot, that come out of your comfort zone. But I would say, first, you analyze your risk, have
Sure.
calculated risk. I don't think like it's a privilege that if you're coming like be in a position to start something, it requires a lot of effort. It's
Sure.
support. You have to have a support system in place. But
Mm.
at the same time, if you are privileged enough, I would say have calculated risk, but come out of your comfort zone. Just start with it. In day one, it's not necessary that you'll figure out everything. Don't be afraid of it. There were points like when we started in day one, I was not very aware of what I am going to face in the upcoming time. But one step at a time, you'll be able to nail it down. That first thing is required, that step into the zone, come out of your comfort zone. And next thing is consistency and persistence. I think persistence, to not give up, is something which has helped us. So these are the two factors which I want to
I
share.
think I think there is nothing more fulfilling than doing something on your own, right, and for yourself, rather
Right.
than working for somebody else's dream, right? That's again a cliche, right? But I think
But it,
that's the most fulfilling.
yeah, I think this mindset has recently come up in the Indian ecosystem, and I'm
Right.
very, very glad to see the rise of the entire space, and everyone's talking about startups. And nowadays, people are having more and more that mindset you're talking about. So
Super.
building something on your own.
Super. Surbhi, it was a pleasure to have you with us, right? We wish you all the very best for all the hard work that you've put in. I think what you have is definitely a challenge at hand. This is a space which is super competitive, right? There's just so much of it happening. But I believe in a content business, more is more, right? You can always create a differentiating uh, or a differentiated offering and a possibility for yourself, right? And eventually continue to engage the customers. I think those observations are very, very important, and possibly build an ecosystem. Once you've created that knowledge and once you've created that awareness, build an ecosystem on top of that, which is essentially how you are looking at it. Um, it's been amazing. It's been overwhelming. It's been motivating to watch you do this, right? We've become a little more, we've aged, we've become seasoned, right? But it's amazing to see youngsters like yourself, who are doing such stuff so much more responsibly, uh, and possibly changing, how we as a country are going to look like and operate, right? And I think that integrity level shift is phenomenal. It's heartening to see. We wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for taking the time out. We look forward to having you with us much sooner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashu, for the opportunity. I loved having a conversation with you.
Super. All the best. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.